Hello and welcome to the Student StarCraft AI Tournament broadcast. This is Nightcat. I'll be your host for today. I hope everybody tuned in to yesterday's cast where we watched the second half of the round one. We saw Monsters, Steamhammer, Banana Brain, and Beta Star move on. If you did not watch that yesterday, sorry, that was spoilers. You should watch it before you watch this one. We've got, for today, we're actually going to cover the round 2 of the winner's bracket. We've got Crazio going up against Dragon for a little head-to-head action. Actually, wait, we've got all mirror matchups. We've got Crazio Dragon, Stardust Purple Wave, which is Protoss, Monster Steamhammer, which is Zerg, and Banana Brain Beta Star, which is Protoss. So this is like mirror matchup heaven, if that's what you love to watch. So let's go ahead and get started with it. Starting us off, we've got Crazio and Dragon. Game 1 taking place on Moonglaive. Dragon spawning as the brown, Terran over on the left side, and up at the top of the map. 3-player map. Hitting the 12 o'clock position, we have Crazio and brown, Terran. So, pretty excited for this round. All mirror matchups. Should be very interesting to see how they go and how they all turn out. Both Dragon and Crazio, pretty dang strong Terrans, so excited to see these two duke it out in the tournament here. I'm also I know I was saying it before last week, but like I'm just really excited to see how far Crazio is able to go this year, given that the Crazio Terran has not participated in the tournament for so long. It's great to see it participating in here. Got the Scout going out here. Scout being a little bit twitchy, but it's getting there. And it's gonna actually meet the Scout of Dragon. And find Dragon's main. They're both gonna get the first Scout, which, I mean, you've got like a 50-50 shot here on a 3-player map of getting that right. So both of them flip the coin and are successful. Just notice that I was on upgrades and not production. Sorry about that. Marine gonna chase off Dragon Scout, but so far I'm not seeing anything crazy. Looks like one difference here. Dragon is cut the gas workers down to 1. It's going 1 factory here, so probably going to see like a 1 factory expand, going for a 3rd depot though instead of the man center, so that is pretty interesting. Also went for 4 Marines, so I suspect that Dragon is going to do the Marine medic tank that we've been seeing. Looks like Crazio is just going to go traditional mech, getting the 2 factories on 1 base, making it look almost though like it's got one, or like it's going for 2 bases, but the Dragon is wise, or has wisened up to what is going on. I think that Scout saw, there's no command center. Also, it just kind of doesn't necessarily have to fake out the opponent, but it can just secure this location for taking a little bit later in a safe fashion. Nothing spinning on the machine shop for Dragon. Crazio is going to have siege mode. So what I find interesting here is how Dragon is going with this 1 base play, but had taken workers off of the gas. They've put them back on now. It seems to be moving out. Not sure if maybe having a little bit of confusion over pathing, but the army of Dragon seemed to get a little bit lost there and take its time. It is a bit larger than Crazio's, but Crazio has siege mode. Coming in from this left side here where it's a much smaller choke. Not really what you want to do. Okay, it looks like Dragon now has siege mode, so siege mode probably... Actually, the army may have been dancing here, waiting for siege mode to start researching, so that way it would be finished by the time it reaches the opponent's base. But yeah, I think... Well, Dragon is kind of... it's got to contain sort of in both locations, so okay. Marines eating up some of those tank shots, allowing the tanks of Dragon to get a little bit closer, but they are a bit clumped. So that splash damage is doing a fair bit, but might be able to crack this natural I'm pretty close here to it. Good repairs by Dragon there. One tank trying to hold this off. Both players trying to advance their tanks just a little bit at a time here. Crazio using the high ground there to its advantage. But we've got more reinforcements from Dragon flowing, and Dragon is taking their natural behind this as well, which is good to see. But this tank on the left, actually, what I was thinking was maybe some struggling with the pathing here, is actually able to shell that natural command center, forcing it to lift in order to save it. But there's enough tanks here. I feel like Crazio can maybe clear this out, but the pressure coming from Dragon is pretty consistent and constant here. So Crazio is going to need to get itself a moment where it can stabilize. And it looks like it's actually floated the command center all the way into the main. Is building a comsat and is getting another command center here. Now, floating into the main, I see that sometimes more in like TVZ, when you lose your natural to like lurkers or something like that, and you need to kind of, you don't want to lose the 2cc worker production for when you can finally reestablish your natural, right? And then also you may need the extra comsat scans for the lurkers. So it's a little funny to see it in TVT, but there may be, you know, a good reason for it. Because I mean, if cloaked wraiths were to come in, it would have been a problem for Crazio, and there would not have been a lot of scans. So, and we do see that wraiths are in play here. Medic's getting picked off by the vultures of Crazio, and Crazio now the one advancing the army, taking a third base as well. So I think Crazio going to approach here. And actually can shell into the main base here. Trying to get a turret down to sort of fend off these wraiths, but not quite able to do so. Loading down a couple of buildings for vision, but there is nothing to push this wraiths off, so the wraiths can either focus the buildings back or can focus on the tanks. There's really not a lot of ground army here for Dragon. There's 8 tanks. Oh wait, no, sorry, that was Crazio. I was like, there's 8 tanks, but where are they for Dragon? No, I'm just mixing up the colors. Crazio is orange, Dragon is brown. So yeah, there's just 1 tank right now. Crazio is going to be able to push this back. Dragon looked like it kept trying to build a comsat station. It was just going to destroy in 1 shot. So what looked like an initially scary position for Crazio, I think, ended up working out for it in the long run. Getting that earlier expansion, I think, and being able to stabilize really helped. I'm not sure if the 2 fronts thing helped or hurt Dragon, so depending on the map, like I'm not sure if there was just 1 choke that it was pushing with all of those units, if it would have gone any better for Dragon, so maybe a map like that might work out a little bit more in Dragon's favor. But yeah, there's no expansions on the map. Crazio now up to 5 bases, taking over the entire top of the map, essentially. This push just needs to work its way into the main here. But I wouldn't even blame, you know, necessarily a human player for not giving up here. You still got minerals, you still got production, you know. But now the workers are kind of being thrown into the fray for not very much there, because there wasn't anything to actually deal damage behind it. You also have a Wraith of Crazio's getting into the mix here. Actually did? Okay, both players got Cloak. I like though that we can't really tell. I mean, we can infer that that is Wraith Cloak, but like, you can't tell just from the icon, I believe. I think Personnel Cloaking and the Wraith Cloaking are the exact same icon. Nicely done by Crazio here. Just taking a quick look here at the factory count. We're actually adding more factories too, so we were at 5 factories. We're adding 2 more, up to 7. Ooh, physics lab. Or no, sorry, it's covert ops. Thought for a moment we might be seeing like a BC switch or something. This tank's actually just kind of clogging the roadway here, just right in the middle of the ramp. Like, nope, I'm not moving until this factory that I am targeting blows up, and then I'll move. Okay, guys, y'all can come in. It's safe. Yeah, nicely done by Crazio here to hold that push and stabilize. And Crazio will take the lead in the series 2-1, or sorry, 2-1. What? 1-0. And we'll get game 2 ready here. Game 2 here, going to take place on Tau Cross. Dragon is taking the upper right spawn position as the yellow Terran. And Crazio is taking the lower right spawn position as the orange Terran. Tau Cross 3-player map. Now, I had to kind of look back real quick at Dragon's series with Ironbot, and I think one of the key differences between Crazio and Ironbot in how they were handling Dragon is the tank production. Thinking back on that series, Ironbot was very tank light and very vulture heavy, and I think that was a problem for it, where Dragon was just able to get an insurmountable tank number at that point, compared to Ironbot's low tank count, whereas Crazio continued to just produce the tanks. Like when it was defending its natural, it had like 3 tanks, like 2 tanks, like it just kept producing tanks, and that allowed it to push Dragon back in a fashion that Dragon wasn't able to push back again, because Ironbot was able to push Dragon away, but then would just kind of peter out and not be able to sustain that and work it into a containment and a win, right? Whereas Crazio was able to do that, at least in game 1. We'll see how this game 2 is going to play out. Looks like we've got similar builds. We've got Crazio throwing down the bunker here at the natural choke. We've got the factories coming down. We've got that academy for Dragon, for the Marine medics. Because, I mean, Dragon did almost win with that pressure at the natural. You know, it forced that command center to be lifted. And so there was a potential there for Dragon to be able to just sort of get that oomph, that final punch in to get the win. So I really feel like a game between these two can really go either way. But Crazio at least appears to have some tools in its belt that maybe Ironbot didn't, in order to be able to turn it around into a win against Dragon, right? That's also not to say that if Dragon and Ironbot meet, that I think it's necessarily a sure win for Dragon either. But with the nature of AIs as well, one of the downfalls is how unmalleable they are without like changes being put in by the AI author, right? So I wouldn't expect Ironbot's performance to suddenly be vastly different and it's suddenly producing 10-20 tanks against Dragon, just because we just didn't see that, right? But you know, maybe something with a map, or maybe, you know, a situation develops that allows the large vulture count that Ironbot was going for to actually work out for it, and score a win or a series win for Ironbot, right? So that's sort of the fun of watching these games, especially the top bots playing against each other, is that sometimes it can kind of be like, okay, yeah, we can see the writing on the wall, how 2 bots are going to play out after like 1 to 2 games or even a full series, but not always. That's enough talking about that, though. Talking about this particular game at hand, getting back into that, we see Dragon actually going double starport here, and we see Crazio being the initial aggressor, which is vastly different from game 1, but we have, you know, the Wraith coming in here and doing some harass. There is a armory though, so Goliaths are going to pop out, so this harass will probably be shut down pretty quickly. We have Crazio looking to initialize a contain here, so we're actually going to get to see how Dragon does with this sort of contain. And I wonder if Dragon being a little bit more passive here is a result of losing that game 1. That is something that you will see in some of the AIs, is while they're maybe a little less malleable than like humans would be, for example, they can have multiple builds built into them and they can try different things. Some do it through like a learning process of, well, this one's this percent of the time. Or, you know, I immediately lost, let me try something else until I lose with that something else sort of thing. So a lot of AIs take different approaches. And it looks like Dragon's actually able to push this back. There's just 2 tanks here for Crazio. There's going down for both the Goliaths. See, this is something where I feel like Crazio could have broken this. There was not a whole lot here, but Crazio needed to run up on the tanks, right? And there's this kind of funny thing in TVT where it's like sometimes it's best to just like Leroy Jenkins charge into a position, and other times it's best to sit back and siege. And it's really hard to tell what situation it is, right? If you should charge or if you need to sit back. But Crazio is coming here with a strong looking force. Like, Dragon has good numbers, but a lot of it is Marines, which will just kind of get eaten up here. And these Goliaths can take a shot or two, which would allow them to walk up on a tank and be so close that it can't be hit by siege fire anymore. Essentially, like, this is a lone tank. Like, these tanks just unsieged an attack move. They'd probably kill this tank and be able to force this third to lift. But as it is, we have Crazio drawing a line here, just sort of strengthening its numbers. Wow, Dragon is getting this third set up. It's actually ahead in bases. Crazio just getting their third up now. But this third is very much unsecured and could be taken out if Crazio chooses to do so. But Crazio might not actually be aware that that base is there necessarily. But this move will also cut that third off and could just be being done to do that and to allow Crazio to clear this off. But for now, that's just extra income. Okay, so there is a Wraith harassing, so Crazio is aware of it. And Dragon's not really going to be able to do anything about the harassment at the third. Crazio now has a really strong tank presence here, and it's shelling into that natural space. Not sure if they can quite hit the command center, if that command center was just taking splash damage. Looks like the... Like, see, that tank was getting hit. I don't... Okay, the comsat can be shelled directly. Okay, and the command center can be, at least by this tank here, so... Yeah, that natural is getting shelled. I don't think Dragon quite has what they need to break this. They're kind of piecemeal throwing away their tanks. And tanks are what you're gonna need, right? Like, probably the best play that Dragon would have would be to give up this natural temporarily, build up some tanks. Like, get a siege line here that Crazio can't necessarily push, but it's not going to let you keep the natural, and then when you have the numbers, try to push out against this, or go into dropship play to move around this. Or, I think, like, the tools that Dragon would need to bust this. So it looks like the bit more passive play from Dragon, not really working out for it. I love this sort of, like, reinforcement turret mine line that exists here. For Crazio, really cool to see. But yeah, this third has been cleaned up now. I actually have a dropship out for Crazio, and good scouting by Crazio to make sure that there's no other expansions out on the map for Dragon. And yeah, Dragon's just never going to have... The main's almost mined out. It's not going to have the army to repel this, so very well done here by Crazio. And I know I was kind of given some criticisms for like how this push was happening. I'm not doing that to say like, oh, the play was bad or anything like that. You know, just given some context into some differences that you might see between how AIs are playing and how humans play, and just different ways that situations could be handled, sort of thing. Like, I'm not trying to talk bad. If it's coming across that way, I apologize, because that's not how I'm meaning it to come across. But yeah, Crazio will ultimately get the win here, it looks like, and we'll go up 2-0. It just needs to play out until Dragon either surrenders or gets eliminated. I'm loving this tank count though. How many tanks? We got 27 tanks out for Crazio. So many tanks. So Dragon will let this play out to elimination. Crazio goes up 2-0 in the series. The third game of the series taking place on Empire of the Sun. We see Crazio up 2-0 currently in the series, looking to close it out, spawning as the purple Terran up at the top left. And down on the bottom right, looking to start that reverse sweep. We have Dragon spawning as the red Terran. We have cross spawns this time, so we'll see how that will play out for these two. If I'm remembering game one properly, we had, I think we've had 2 3-player maps so far. So this is the first 4th player map in this series, if I'm not mistaken, and the first cross spawn between these two. So we'll see if the distance between the two make any difference, and we'll see which one decides to go aggressive first. If Dragon will go back to that original push and contain that it was doing, or maybe it was Crazio that had originally done a softer opener that didn't move out quite as quickly as it did in game 2. Got the gas, we've got the depot. Second factory first factory actually started very late for Dragon. Compared to Crazio, that is, and Crazio is actually starting up. Oh no, they're starting up the first one. I don't know what for some reason I was thinking Crazio already had a factory. I don't know why. But actually Dragon's factory is started first and completes while Crazio's is about halfway done. Machine shop immediately going down, so no vulture play, which has been typical for what Dragon's been doing in these TVTs. We have the Dancing Marines here, which is reminiscent of game 1, where the army was, at least I believe it was game 1, where the army was dancing a little bit. Maybe I'm thinking back to the Iron Bot series, before moving out with a few tanks in tow. So going to see when that army decides to move forward. Crazy going up to 2 factories here. Not taking that natural just yet, but has the bunker and a vulture. Second vulture in place, floating that factory, that barracks across. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe I was confusing the barracks that got built for a factory somehow. Looks like Crazio started siege mode. So yeah, it looks like we've got Dragon coming across with this early aggression this time. So it's going back to its game plan from game 1, which came pretty close to giving it the win. Crazio's siege finishes up though. This bunker is going to fall or come under siege here. Dragon's tank's able to take it out. Actually, this time, this is hitting before Crazio even gets the natural up. Looks like Crazio is maybe going more for one base play. But it looks like it's 1 factory to 2 factories. And Crazio is handling this move forward pretty well. There's no SCVs to repair in Dragon's army. And I think this is going to get cleaned up pretty darn quickly here. It's nicely handled by Crazio this time. Very efficient there. And now, Dragon really doesn't have much behind this. I mean, there's 2 tanks, a vulture back home. Now, it went ahead and got a second vulture as well. Crazio has 5 tanks. Crazio, yeah, is coming across the map now and going to be more aggressive. Crazio could really get a nice solid contain here on Dragon, and the tank count I think is just too small for Dragon to really prevent this or to push out against this. Does get a 3rd tank here now. But really just having the 1 factory is gonna hurt it a bit. There was a Goliath made. Okay, so it is in the army. Needs to be careful though and not lose this Goliath to any tanks as there is now a Wraith. If the Wraith reveals itself, I think, oh no, it's, oh. Goliath gets taken out by a tank, and so now there's no anti-air with this tank army. Crazio, though, I think just produced a Wraith of their own, yeah, and it is flying across the map here now, so gonna be able to stop that Wraith, but it will get some damage. There's also Goliath that just joined the army. But now there's no tanks. Crazio has been able to take out the tanks for Dragon. Yeah, it just seems to be a strong point of Crazio here to really the bunker over here on the right side of the wall. natural falls for Dragon, but yeah, Crazio seems to be really good at deflecting that early pressure and then just immediately coming out with their own pressure and just superior tank numbers after deflecting the attack. And yeah, I think with this, I don't really see a way that Dragon could come back in this. Crazio is going to go up 3-0 and take the series and move on to round 3. In the upper bracket, pretty strong showing for Crazio here. Dragon's going to have to fight its way through the loser's bracket to try and make it to the final round. But yeah, I don't know, if Crazio went like for a faster expansion off of one factory, that attack from Dragon could be scary, but in this particular game, Crazio went for the 2 factories off of one base. And I believe game 1, when the attack came from Dragon, there was already a command center at the natural that was being shelled and had to be lifted, so... And this one just played out more in Crazio's favor. 2 factories versus 1 factory production. I mean, even with the Marines being added in, the Marines, they get eaten up by the tanks very quickly in siege mode. If they're not diving directly onto the tanks, where there's other units moving up while the Marines eat shots, which is harder to do in AI versus AI, because you can more precisely target your units to avoid... Like in a typical human Terran versus Terran, you have, like, you know, you move forward with Vulture, Tank, and maybe even some Goliaths, and you want the Vultures and the Goliaths to sort of eat shots for the tanks to approach, to gain that space, whether you're going to siege them or just continue to move them on top of your opponent's tanks. And then if you're being pushed against in that fashion, you have to, like, select your tanks and try to micro to target the opposing tanks. Some of those micro restrictions aren't really applicable to the AI scene, so the battles can play out and look a bit different. But let's go ahead and get into our second series here. Up next, we are moving on to the second series in the round 2 here. You've got Stardust going up against Purple Wave here. Crazio moving on to round 3 after scoring 3-0 against Dragon. First game's taking place here on Benzene. We have Stardust spawning as the Purple Protoss, if that's not going to be throwing me off a little bit here. And down in the bottom left, we have Purple Wave spawning as the, like, beige? I guess that's beige, Protoss. So Purple Wave did not score the Purple Protoss here. Looks like we've got, a Dragoon opener coming out of Purple Wave, and we're going to see, I think, a Zealot opener here from Stardust. Gas coming down now. Actually, no Zealot. Purple Wave is getting the Zealot. Interesting. So it's just a very late gas and core compared to Purple Wave. About like half a core's difference in terms of construction and mining time later, so maybe just a bit more of an optimized opening pardon me, out of Purple Wave, and does get a Zealot, which Stardust here is not getting. We've got Dragoon production starting up, and Purple Wave is like about half a Dragoon ahead. Scout is oddly firmly just planted on that position there. Gets taken out by the Dragoon there. Let's just check the upgrades real quick here. So, okay, yeah, even in the Singularity Core being started earlier by Purple Wave as well. Purple Wave going for an expansion here. Stardust is getting a 4th gateway, so it looks like we're going to see 4-gate Goon out of Stardust, while Purple Wave is just getting their 2nd gateway now. So Purple Wave might be in a little bit of trouble. They are getting a forge now, but we've got 3 Dragoons, so it's really going to come down to the micro here. Those Goons are going to back off, but Purple Wave needs to be careful to not overextend here. Does pull back. I'm going to go ahead and throw down a cannon to help deal with the larger number of Dragoons here, but it's only by 1, and there's a Zealot. A cannon can finish. And Purple Wave stepping away from that cannon. As the numbers are growing quickly here for Stardust doing the 4-gate goon. Will Purple Wave be able to hold this aggression? Pretty good so far. It's just 10-6. Purple Wave can minimize their losses and grow a larger army. They've got the second base. If they can keep that secured, they'll be in a very good position here. It's 11-7 with plus the cannon. Gonna come down the targeting here, and Stardust might doing really good here with the stepping forward, but Purple Wave doing a good job of trying to step backwards, but I think there's just too much. Stardust is gonna knock this off. And Purple Wave was throwing down additional gateways, but Stardust doing a good job of jumping before that production could really hit. Purple Wave's going to have to hold this ramp here. Oh, but now, yeah, with Stardust able to get up that ramp and charging in, but there's a lot of production now here for Purple Wave. Purple Wave actually has more gateways than Stardust, so actually can outproduce at this point. Has more workers as well. Stardust is expanding behind this, so I think Purple Wave can survive this, but Stardust will be ahead. It's two... I'd like the probes on the gas instead of the oversaturating the minerals. That's pretty interesting to see. We got Purple Wave, maybe doing a little bit of an overextension here as a macro round for Stardust is joining with the army here. Purple Wave really needs to sit back and sort of stabilize, especially they just threw 400 minerals on that Nexus, which means that they're not going to be able to get the any more Dragoons. But meanwhile, Stardust, coming across the bridge here, getting caught by a nice positioning there of Stardust. I think that might cost the game. Trying to throw down that Robo. We saw in the games against Bad XP that the Reavers were very instrumental in those wins against Pure Dragoon. I think this aggression just hit before that could really get set up. And yeah, I think now this natural is going to fall again. I think Purple Wave needed to wait a little bit longer just to get a few more Dragoons out before trying to take that natural. And now Stardust pushing up this ramp again. Yeah, there's just... the numbers are just too in Stardust's favor, I think. Purple Wave is trying here, but that shuttle's going to get picked off. The bay is the robotics support bay, I think it is. Not created yet, even so. Here's going to be Reaver out. The shuttle gets shot down, trying to produce some zealots to maybe save something, but the main Nexus being focus fired down by the Dragons of Stardust. It gets taken out. There are no probes on the map, so last Purple Wave's units fall. Stardust is going to take the lead in the series 1-0. And this one's looking like it's going to be pretty good, pretty exciting. That was definitely just down to, small micro decisions at first to almost hold that natural by Purple Wave, but then, trying to just overextend a little bit, that going across the bridge there really hurt. So let's go ahead and get game 2 fired up here. Game 2 in this series going to take place on Circuit Breakers. We have Purple Wave taking the orange Protoss pieces up at the top left of the map, and Stardust taking the teal Protoss pieces up at the top right. This one will be interesting, I think, because we have the double bridges here, and there is the other path around. You can take the ramps up the high ground here and back down to the low ground, or you can take the path over here, which is the ramps and low ground here. To avoid these two bridges, we'll see which paths the AIs prefer in order to get to each other. Also, I'm interested to see how the engagements are going to go. What are the builds that we're going to see between these two? Will we see anything change or be different between them? Looks like Purple Wave. Okay, so Stardust is getting a Zealot. Purple Wave going straight for the Cybernetics Core. That's a little bit different. So this time, the Cybernetics Core is finishing for Purple Wave before the Assimilator is even started, or had even finished for Stardust. We have Cybernetics Core on the way, though, for Stardust. Looks like Stardust maybe going to go for one base play again. Funny, the probe was bumping up against the Zealots, and the Zealots just decided to not do anything. They had plenty of opportunity to actually attack it, and we're just like, you know what? Nah, you can scout. It's fine. We have the 2 additional gateways. I'm not sure if Purple Wave has actually seen those, though. We'll see them now, though, or at least should see the 1. So it looks like we're going to get the same sort of 4-gate goon out of Stardust, but we have a Citadel of a Dune finishing up here now at Templar Archive. So it looks like Purple Wave is going to be looking to go for some Dark Templar, and actually I like this little move out down the ramp to push this army back, because it's going to delay Stardust finding out the tech, right? Like, if they were able to poke up here, they might be able to catch a glimpse of that Citadel of Dune. But the Dark Templar are just finishing up now. There is a Forge, though, on the way for Stardust, so I don't think that the Dark Templar will necessarily be a kill move. But it should be able to push these Dragoons back, because I think Stardust has more gateways, or they might be on equal gateways now, but it was on more gateways for a little bit longer. And yeah, the army is just forced to retreat back to the cover of this cannon being warped in at the top of the ramp. So the Dark Templar should not be able to get a kill, but until observers are out, Purple Wave kind of has some nice, safe map control, and we'll be able to take an expansion behind this, not leaving the... I think one of the Dark Templars might have got caught there. I think there's just one out on the field right now. So one got caught by the cannon, I think, when it got discovered. Or the cannon in the army that was there. That other Dark Templar could sit out here and wait for an observer to come out to force it back, but it's actually just going to go head over here and scout this bottom right region of the map. Stardust is cooperating by hiding back. There's a lot of Dragoons on the field, but Purple Wave is getting a nice little couple macro rounds in here. Still just a little bit behind in the Dragoon count, but has caught up now. And actually the equal number of Dragoons, so it's really going to come down to like control here. Purple Wave did go for the Dark Templar tech, though. So I need to move this. Hold on. It's like a little bit, just a little bit off. There we go. And yeah, the army comes out, and actually it's kind of funny. Where's the observer? The observer is not quite with the army. But yeah, sees that concave and decides to just back up. Purple Wave now has the superior Dragoon numbers, so that DT tech, I think, really helped it out there and gave it time to get the army that it needed. We're on 5 gateways here, up against 3 gateways, and actually I think that's maybe what has allowed Purple Wave to sort of get this larger army, but it's going to be hard to contain because, like I said, these bridges could become a factor here. Purple Wave getting the majority of their army actually is able to set up a superior concave to Stardust here. Now Stardust being forced to retreat up. Purple Wave has to be careful to not overextend, as Stardust does have the high ground advantage here, but yeah, without like more advanced tech, it's going to be really hard for Stardust to break through this. So Stardust is throwing down gateways so that way it can just sort of pump out units to try and just brute force this. It has a ton of minerals banked up. Could maybe throw a ton of zealots out. But yeah, Purple Wave has a really nice contain here. No real need at the moment for Purple Wave to try and break up this ramp. Oof. Yeah, I was gonna say Purple Wave, like, Purple Wave does not need to try and push up this ramp to win this game at the moment. But Stardust is closer to Reaver Tech if it chooses to go that route. Yeah, Purple Wave just needs to make sure that Stardust can't get an expansion anywhere, and Purple Wave has pretty much won this game. Looking at upgrades real quick here, Purple Wave is even getting, Zealot leg speed, which will help with the Zealots that it's producing, and +1 weapons is on the way, whereas Stardust has not even started a single upgrade just yet. And I think Stardust with the SimCity there right by that choke is struggling a little bit to get up there. Purple Wave throwing a few units away, but realistically, as long as it doesn't throw enough away for Stardust to come down that ramp and claim that natural space, I think Purple Wave is well ahead, as long as that does not happen. Stardust is really spending its money too. It had like 12,000, and now it's dropped down significantly down to like around half of what it was a little bit ago. Purple Wave has taken bases, not really saturating them just yet with probes. I think that's okay. Gonna go ahead and take a fourth. Ideally, though, you would want to like transfer your workers, and you want to try and make it so that things mine out a little closer to each other. So you would want to move those workers maybe a little bit sooner, but like I said, as long as Purple Wave can keep Stardust from taking bases, like Stardust is just kind of cramped up at the top of the ramp here, and it's not looking too good. Stardust also needs to try and save money essentially to take an expansion, because even if it busts out, if it has no money for a Nexus, like it's gonna have some problems, right? Because how is it gonna get money? How's it going to replenish its army, while Purple Wave will be able to easily replenish its army? Looks like Stardust is venturing down a bit. Purple Wave, I'm not sure why it's backing out here. Nice storms, though, catches the observers. Actually, yeah, Stardust could just be trapped forever if it's unable, or if the observers get caught and killed fully, and then, like, there's just one Dark Templar. I mean, one Dark Templar won't be able to kill that much army quickly enough, I don't think, but yeah, we've kind of got this, like, stalemate. Meanwhile, Purple Wave has taken over the whole left side of the map, thrown down more gateways. I would like to see, at this point of the game, Purple Wave to get some infrastructure up and then just build up a bank, right? So that way it can just very quickly, like, it can sit at 200 for a bit. There's no need to throw army away in order to just reproduce. Yeah, and here we go. It's building up that bank now. But this way, when the fighting does start to happen, it can just very quickly replenish its army with all of the gateways that it has thrown down and the bank that it builds up, while Stardust won't be able to replenish anything. I like, though, how Stardust has saved exactly 400 minerals for the Nexus that it needs, but we also might get a timeout on this game. And I'm not sure who would win in that instance, because if no units die for about like 5 minutes of game time, I believe it is, the game will just kind of end. So Purple Wave needs to be careful that that timeout doesn't happen, unless it thinks that, you know, it will get the win based on that. So it may need to occasionally throw, like, at least a single army or a single unit away. But yeah, this is a bit interesting how we have the armies dancing here. And yeah, you can see all the gateways that Purple Wave has thrown down at this bottom left expansion here. And it's just taking over more of the map. Going to go ahead and mine more and more. I am getting a little bit worried that the no unit death timeout might happen here. Purple Wave's starting to get enough of a bank that I feel like at this point it probably should just start to send armies in. Even if they will ultimately lose the battle, it can replace so quickly that it would be fine. And I mean, it's got storms. There's 4 High Templar that we can see. There's some in the shuttle too. I think it's got, yeah, a total of 8. So there's 4 in the shuttle, 4 out on the field. And here we go. Now we actually get the engagement. So Purple Wave. Oh, the shuttle gets picked off. So that's 4 High Templar just gone. But look at that production line. Holy heck. Like, what are the upgrades right now real quick too? +3 weapons, +1 armor on the way for Purple Wave. And yeah, like I said, the high ground advantage, Stardust might be able to sort of like take this first fight. But look at the resources, or the reinforcements just streaming in across the mini-map here. Another storm going down. I think the Star Templar opening worked very well for Purple Wave and forced Stardust's army back long enough for Purple Wave to get the macro cycles it needed to be able to have that superior army. And the Storm Tech's working out really well here for it. Especially because Stardust was in such a cramped space there at the top of that ramp. And now it's just a matter of clearing out the base here. And Stardust not even spending that 400 minerals for units to try and stay alive right now. Like I said, all Purple Wave needed to do was keep Stardust off of a second base. Stardust could have technically maybe snuck an expansion over here or over here. Nothing was scouting those areas. There's something scouting now. But earlier there was nothing scouting that, so at least not that I noticed offhand. There may have been a potential to sneak a base with a shuttle, but Ultimately, it did not do that, so Purple Wave able to take a very nice win here, tying the series up 1-1. And as the final pylons here fall, we will get ourselves ready for Game 3. Now we find ourselves on Roadrunner. Purple Wave getting the bottom right spawn as the orange Protoss. Stardust again getting the purple Protoss. Pieces spawning at the top left of the map. This map also has 2 bridges. Like, that must have been a design feature that was, like, very popular for a while in map making. I'm not sure exactly what era all of the SSCAIT maps were created in StarCraft. If some of these, I mean, obviously they're older, I know that much, but if these were created like around the same time, which one of these maps were in circulation at the same time as the others, I'm not entirely certain. But they're like, this double ramp, or this double bridge feature rather, seems to be in quite a number of the maps on SSCAIT. So I'm thinking that must have just been a popular feature to put in for a while. At least with this map, I mean, again, and just like with the last map too, I mean, there are other routes you can take that avoid that double bridge, but they're oftentimes not the most direct paths that you could take. Purple Wave is this time again going for Zealot first, so I believe in the first game we saw Purple Wave get a Zealot first. Stardust did not. Second game, we saw Stardust get a Zealot first, and then Purple Wave not. And this time we are seeing a similar to game 1. They flipped it again. Purple Wave getting the Zealot first. Stardust not doing so. Okay, no, we do have the Citadel coming down for Purple Wave, so it looks like it will be Dark Templar again. Actually, no, wait. Purple Wave did get a Zealot beginning of like game 2, that's right, but it just get the 1. That's right, so okay, never mind. My statements were a little bit off there. But Stardust in the game 2 got 2 Zealots, and this time it did not. It went straight for Dragoons. It looks like it's trying to get up to that 4 gateway Dragoon pressure. So the question is, will our Templar be out in time to push the army back? I think they will. Yeah, gonna have to try and keep the 3 Dragoons back a little bit here. Needs to be careful though, because Stardust will have superior macro for a short bit. But Purple Wave is going to have the tech. Oh, and actually taking that other bridge. That's kind of interesting. A little bit more of an engagement here than we had in the last game. The Zealot gets picked up, but here come the Dark Templar, and those Dragoons are going to have to retreat. And we do have some cannons coming down, so they'll get down in time, so that way the main doesn't get taken away. Another robotics facility gets started, and this is what the time that Purple Wave really has to... Oh, yep, okay, and that one does get picked off, but the army is going to hide, and that second Dark Templar will survive. So this is where Purple Wave has to make really good use of its time to really get some infrastructure up and catch up in the Dragoon count before those observers can come out on the map and give Stardust the confidence to come across the map, right? Because if there are not superior numbers for Purple Wave by that point, it might be in some trouble. But with that teching up, actually, oh, I kind of see what's happening here. Okay, so Stardust is still just on the 1 gas, and getting observers is pretty gas heavy. The observatory costs a lot of gas, observers cost a lot of gas, so while it has the 4 gateways, it's not really able to devote a whole lot to the production of the Dragoons. Whereas, after having got this tech, Purple Wave has nothing but Dragoons to spend its gas on, right? So it's able to catch up in the Dragoon count, but this time it may not have quite worked as well. And this terrain seems to kind of be working against Purple Wave a little bit. Purple Wave looking to move out actually with like smaller Dragoon numbers. So this may not work quite as well for Purple Wave this game as it did last, but it looks like because there's the Dark Templar came over here and started to hit, and it's not quite being seen. So that little sneaky destruction of that pylon forced Stardust Army back, and actually now Purple Wave has a much better position here to engage with this Stardust Army, but the Stardust Army is still just larger. And I think those numbers are still able to sort of just push Purple Wave back. And while they had equal number of Dragoons out on the field, Stardust has the defender's advantage, so Purple Wave not quite able to really like clear Stardust Army, right? Stardust trying to take this natural. The Nexus does take some hits, but I think Stardust is going to get its natural setup in this game. We'll have a little bit more of a game this time than we did last time. Looks like Purple Wave is getting some more gateways behind this. Stardust maybe overextending a little bit here. The power station's actually kind of getting in the way of Purple Wave's army movement, but Purple Wave keeping a nice concave here. Good targeting, but the army is slowly getting pushed back here, but now Stardust is going to go ahead and turn back. Yeah, just look at that production queue for Purple Wave too. Purple Wave just getting a lot of gateways. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 gateways. But, oh no! This little hold up, though, is really crippling Purple Wave's numbers out on the field. We've got 6 gateways for Stardust, so Purple Wave has more gateways, but oh man, that's... How many is that? That's 5, 6, like 7 Dragoons just not in the fight there. So really, we can look at the numbers. But where's Stardust's army? Stardust is only mining from one base, and so it's very mineral crunch. You can't really support 6 gateways off of one base. So despite this traffic jam here, Purple Wave still just has the superior macro and superior numbers because it was able to get its natural so long ago, get a 3rd base. It can support the gateways that it has while Stardust can't. So that little DT delay of the natural too, I think really helped Purple Wave. And we can't see the mineral numbers on these patches, unfortunately, but I'm willing to bet that Stardust maybe just barely mined from these, if at all. And so Purple Wave is looking to take a 2-1 lead here again with this Dark Templar opening, really working in its favor here. It does still need to close it out, though. Stardust just short of minerals for a Nexus. I'm not sure if it will be able to long distance mine if it's able to clear this natural, but I don't think it's going to, based on that queue, the production queue down there at the bottom. Upgrades wise, it's Purple Wave is getting +2 weapons right now. Oh, I also like that it gets the High Templar energy upgrade. That is nice. I like how the OpenBW said siege mode for a moment there. All those shots, some of them missed the probe. That was like a whole circle of Dragoon shots around that probe. It was kind of funny to see. Oh, I guess that was a Purple Wave Zealot that it was hitting there by that gateway. But yeah, Purple Wave just needs to get up the ramp, clear the buildings, and will secure itself a lead in the series at 2-1. And I was a little bit worried for Purple Wave at multiple points in this game, especially with that traffic jam, which might still be a thing down there. Yeah, it is. There's a nice storm that we just missed on the workers, but not as impactful as the game is pretty much already over at this point. But yeah, just nicely done. And the thing is, like, Stardust was still scary for a bit with the 6 gateways, but because it could never quite get that 2nd base operational and mining, it just could not produce out of it. And then all of a sudden, it just didn't have units because of that. I think like 4 gateways is pretty much the most that you can do off of one base. I'm not entirely certain, but yeah, Purple Wave taking the lead here, looking to close out the series. Let's get that next game loaded up here. Game 4 here, taking place on another map. With Double Bridge as its destination, we've got Stardust spawning as the red Protoss up at the top of the map. Purple Wave spawning as the green Protoss down at the bottom. Looks like we've got similarly timed pylons coming out of both AIs here. Similarly timed gateways out of both. Stardust sending the probe scout already. There's the early gas for Purple Wave. Still can't tell which build exactly is going to come out of each AI here. The probe for Stardust comes in. Scouting what's going on. We've got the core coming down now for Purple Wave. Another pylon for Stardust as it is. Actually, we have the Zealot coming out for Purple Wave. No Zealot again for Stardust, it looks like. Purple Wave hitting a small supply block here. Just as the core finishes, but shouldn't be too much of a problem as we now have the Dragoon underway. Looks like we have 2 gateways from Stardust at the moment. So the question is, will Stardust go for a 2 or 3 gateway play here? It's tried both. And against the DTs, they have failed. So the Scout gets taken out, and now we have the Citadel coming down. So it looks like Purple Wave going to stick with that Dark Templar opening that has netted it a couple of wins here. And we are getting 4 gateways from Stardust, so we're getting another 4-gate goon here. The double bridges are a little bit tighter on this map, I think, and a little longer than on the previous map, so it might work out a little bit in Stardust's favor in terms of taking a natural. But Purple Wave going up to the bridge here, doing a good job of keeping Stardust in the dark about what's happening, though the Forge is going up back home. So again, I don't think the Dark Templar are necessarily going to be the winning punch. Purple Wave trying to fight across that bridge there, but really just needs to keep Stardust back until, these Dark Templar come out, and then, oh no, don't block the Dark Templar. Oh no, we've got a traffic jam. But Stardust sees, quote-unquote, sees the Dark Templar. It's able to tell that there is a cloaked unit there. And we'll run back home. So even though the Dark Templar don't actually get up there because of this traffic jam on the bridge, they still are able to have the impact they need to on this game. They weren't going to deal any damage at the base because of this cannon at the top of the ramp. So if anything, maybe keeping these Dark Templar alive is actually a good thing with this traffic jam. Hard to say, but Purple Wave has their natural up. Robotics facility finishes for Stardust. Now the observatory is on the way. Purple Wave is starting to kick that Dragoon production into gear. And these 2 Dragons are like, no, Dark Templar, you stay here. You stay home, you stay alive. We're not letting you go sacrifice yourself to the cannon that has inevitably been built up at the top of the opponent ramp. So this traffic jam is going to need to resolve itself eventually. Dragoon count still pretty heavily in Stardust's favor. The traffic jam there now clears up. The 2 Dark Templar are able to head out. But they're going to find the Observer out. And ooh, they managed to get away. Just barely. And now Stardust is trying to fight across this bridge, but Purple Wave meets it at just the right time to repel that and force the Stardust goes all the way up the ramp instead of using the bridge to its advantage. And so Purple Wave is going to be able to get a really nice concave here, and it's not looking good for Stardust right now. I'm going to just say, because it let Purple Wave get set up on the other side of the bridge here, this is not looking good for Stardust. Stardust should not be able to get down that ramp unless Purple Wave basically cedes that territory to it without getting some sort of additional tech like Reavers or Templar. We've got, it looks like, a couple more gateways coming down for Stardust, but it's not going to be able to support production out of those, maybe for a really short bit because it has a bit of a mineral glut, but it just does not have the gas to do it. It's pumping out as many Dragoons as it can at the moment, and it's going to struggle to use those additional gateways that it's putting down. Unfortunately, it needed to tech, but instead it's just getting the gateways. Purple Wave also has some Zealots now, and again, we're basically at the position of Game 2 now, where Purple Wave just needs to starve out Stardust. Let Stardust waste its units, where it can see the natural. Not exactly sure why it seeded the natural ground there, but that actually might let Stardust come back into this, because now Purple Wave has to fight across this bridge. Granted, Purple Wave will still have the superior macro, but this is allowing Stardust to fight a lot more effectively than it was before. We do have storms, though. One observer gets picked off. The other observer's still alive, though. But yeah, Stardust looking a little bit more comfortable. Might be able to take this natural... Ooh, nice storm on the Dragoons there, dealing some good damage. Purple Wave looks to be teching into Reaver Tech, which we did not see in the previous games. Against Stardust here. Another nice storm. The Observer gets picked off, and Stardust doesn't have the gas to really replace that. The Dark Templar, again, could just sit here in the natural and sort of keep Stardust's force back. And now, because Stardust doesn't have the Observers, it goes ahead and runs up the hill, and I don't think it's ever going to get a replacement Observer. I don't see one in queue. Purple Wave getting an Observer of their own. So despite seeding this natural to Stardust, Stardust did not effectively do what it needed to. Actually, okay, it did pop out an Observer here. So it does have one now, but it doesn't seem like it feels confident in using that Observer to actually come down the ramp here. I like that the Zealots were able to get positioned in front of the ramp, but Purple Wave needs to get its army in this space. This space is where the army really, really should be. I think, though, that even despite that, Stardust has mined out. Purple Wave has 3 bases. Getting a 4th base, it looks like. Yeah, this is going to be Purple Wave's game and Purple Wave's series, but man, Stardust is very, very afraid of Dark Templars. How did that... Wait, how did that High Templar get up there? Did it glitch up there? Once this concludes, we might... Oh, Storm's their own Observer, it looks like. Yeah, Storm's going down slowly. Getting out. This High Templar in the main, not being attacked by anything at the moment. I'm gonna have to, like, rewind after this, I think, just to check how that High Templar got up there. I think it ended up glitching up there, which is kind of funny. Purple Wave did a large macro round of High Templar, but now is macroing a lot of Dragoons. But yeah, the Dark Templar coming back in. Another good storm. And yeah, just the final Dragoons falling. Now there's just 3 left. They're going to run back towards the Nexus, but yeah, they're just going to be picked off now. Purple Wave securing their way to another round 3 visit here in the winner's bracket. Very, very nicely done. It seems to have found a way to really handle Stardust with its fear of the cloaked units, and perhaps being a little bit too fearful and not willing to move out as aggressively as it should once it's able to get an Observer. Yeah, very nicely done here. Very exciting series, too. After Game 1 and Game 2, it really felt like the series could go either way. And then Game 3, Stardust handled the DT rush pretty well, considering. I mean, it was pushing across the map and such, but it just wasn't able to make its way to Purple Wave's space. And Purple Wave takes the series 3-1. Halfway through the series that we're watching in today's game. But really quick, before we jump into Series 3, I want to see how that High Templar got up there. When did that happen? There is a shuttle. Did the shuttle? Maybe the shuttle did it. Because there was no Reaver produced. The shuttle might have actually dropped it off. I'm trying to keep an eye on the shuttle here. Go ahead and speed things up a little here. Ooh, shuttle went towards the high ground, then backed off. Okay, it was the shuttle. So the shuttle dropped. It didn't glitch up there. The shuttle actually dropped it off and then got destroyed by the Dragoons. Alright, let's go ahead and get our next series running here. series here is going to be Monster against Steamhammer. It's our Zerg versus Zerg mirror matchup. This is going to decide the second matchup for round 3. So we had Crazio move on and Purple Wave. They're going to play each other, and now the winners of these next 2 series will go on to play themselves, each other, whatever the right way to word that would be. Since the game at hand, we have Steamhammer spawning as the red Zerg on Icarus up at the top left. And over at the middle right, we have Monster in the yellow Zerg pieces. Looks like we've got a deviation in the builds here, so we've got similarly timed pulls, though Steamhammer's is a little bit later. So we had a much earlier gas from Monster here. Looks like Monster is getting an Overlord here, so now we're on equal Overlords. They've both scouted each other, so they know where they are, they know what they're doing. Looks like Steamhammer for a moment was up a worker. Okay, so Steamhammer... Okay, we have Monster going for a 1-hatch layer play, while Steamhammer is going for also the same, but got a sunken colony to help keep itself alive. Non-Zergling pokes up there just to check things out. Neither player really taking any sort of aggressive stance. Looks like Steamhammer is going to go for yet another sunken. Steamhammer's Overlord is returning home. Not going to see Monster's Spire starting. See, yep, there was a drone waiting in place there, so we have the Spire on the way for Steamhammer as well. Looks like we're getting similar builds here, but Monster's is a little bit more crisp, getting things a little bit earlier, and actually has more workers. So Steamhammer producing a fair bit of Zerglings right now. It's not going to have larva or minerals, nor minerals for Mutalisks, and interestingly throwing down another sunken colony here. Really, there's no... Yeah, see, now we have 3 Mutalisks on the way for Monster, and just 2, a 4th one now on the way. So yeah, I think Monster's going to be ahead in the Mutalisk count here. I mean, what might help Steamhammer is battling over their own base. The Glaives are going to bounce off of more things. Whereas Steamhammer's Glaives would only bounce off of Monster's Mutalisks. And Steamhammer seems to have pushed back Monster with those initial Mutalisks, but now Steamhammer's in the same position. And those Mutalisks might have been a bit bruised and died very quickly here. Now we have a couple of Scourge coming out, which will help. But I don't think any of them connect. Monster sending its... oh, yeah, the Mutalisks get in there while there's no Mutalisk to defend and are able to score a drone or 2. Monster is throwing down a couple of sunken colonies itself. Steamhammer is getting the evolution chamber so that it can get the spore colony if it wants to, but it's really low on drones here. Steamhammer looking to be aggressive again, sending some Zerglings forward. There are a couple of sunkens though. Seems that Steamhammer, at least at the moment, does not want to engage in the actual base here, but it's giving Monster time to build up a bit stronger of a force. Both AIs are just staying on the one base. Monster did get a second hatchery, and I think Steamhammer's still on 1. It looks like the Mutalisks miss each other again. Oh, but the Scourge finds them and chase them back into the base. Okay, there is actually a spore in the mineral line here of Monster that I did not notice right away. It's hidden under one of the Overlords there. So that might be why, but Steamhammer's not engaging. But that second hatchery there on the left actually could be sniped by these Mutalisks. if Monster did not want to respond. And hopefully these dive in at the same time. If they're going to dive, nope. Okay, Scourge are going to back off. Might be on a little bit of a stalemate here until one of them feels like being aggressive again. But Steamhammer, it's good to see getting a second hatchery. But Monster just is going to, I think, have just such a huge economic advantage here. 24 workers rather. Just to Monster's 9. So even though Monster has the second hatchery now, like, I don't know. There's a circling there. And Monster's getting his second base now. So, and the Mutalisks of Monster again almost avoid. As they find the Scourge that, oh! I think there was a Scourge that may have connected in there. I mean, Steamhammer still has the superior Mutalisk count. And the Scourge are a nice addition to the army because it is rather low on workers and minerals. And despite the superior economy here, Monster like can't really push this Mutalisk plow back. Now it's diving in on this hatchery, which is good to see. It can... Oh, come on, pick the hatchery off. It's like almost dead. Just a few more hits. Dive in on it, dive in on it. Take those larvae out. Scourge individually easily getting picked off now. I'm not... Okay, actually, I did catch a Mutalisk there, it looks like. Yeah, maybe not the best use of the Scourge. Looks like we've got some Zerglings filing in here as well. Oh, man. Monster's still getting that extra larva being a hatch up. I'm not sure if Steamhammer's ever going to transition into... like getting a second base here, but the low worker count will allow it to last for a very long time on that one base if it has no plans to expand. So while I was knocking that low worker count, it might play in its favor here. But also the game could be going along. Come on! So the game could be going along just because the production hasn't been there due to the low economy, and Monster finally able to just overcome the army of Steamhammer. Monster's Mutalisks also have +1 carapace, and while an evolution chamber was obtained, there are no spores back home. There was a creep colony tossed down, but it looks like it was metamorphed into a spore colony. Now one Mutalisk being morphed, but now there's no minerals for anything. The Monster is going to take the win, so I think Steamhammer has a shot to win this matchup, but yeah, it just kind of played a bit too all in with its strat, just not getting any, not ever improving its economy and just playing super low econ, I think really hurt it. Could have also sniped that one hatchery, and actually I think that hatchery is still alive here at the end of the game, yeah, so unfortunately I didn't recognize that, like, one swipe out of all the mutas would have killed that, and that just would have been less larva for Monster as well. Nicely defended though by Monster, and building its economy, taking that natural to take the win, going up 1-0 into game 2. The second arena for these two is going to be a repeat of the first arena. It's Icarus again. This time we have Steamhammer spawning in the mid-right spawn as the blue Zerg, and Monster spawning as the teal Zerg over on the left side of the map. So we've got cross spawns here instead of close spawns. I don't think that will impact too much in this matchup really, because I mean it changes like the rush distance and stuff, but both really went passive openers. Looks like so Monster is getting its spawning pool a little bit quicker. Oh, but actually Steamhammer is going for a hatch first opening. It is a 9 hatch in the main. Imagine that we will see now. Yep, there's a spawning pool. Gas being mined for Monster. So Monster might be going for the same build here. Oops. That it did last game. There's the lair, so we've got one hatch lair again. So Monster's Mutalisks are going to be faster, but nicely timed there. The hatch here finishes, giving that one extra larva at the time that the spawning pool there finishes, and all larva being spent on Zerglings. I don't know if Steamhammer's actually found... Okay, no, there's a drone that was out scouting, so I believe Steamhammer does know where Monster's at. The Zergling numbers, though, are relatively comparable. Actually, Monster has more Zerglings. And there's no sunken or anything here. I think just the superior Zergling numbers targeting down the drones. Spawning pool almost done. Evolution Chamber finishes up, though, for Steamhammer. And Monster producing a few more rounds of Zerglings, but going to start producing those Mutalisks very soon here. Doesn't have any money banked up, though. So it's going to be more of a trickle than a flood of Mutalisks once they start production. Steamhammer does get a sunken colony. Or sorry, Monster got a sunken colony. It actually has 2 in the mineral lines. Very nicely placed. And here Steamhammer is getting a lair. Has the evolution chamber, but does not have a spore colony yet. If there is a creep colony being made, we'll see. Hopefully it gets turned into a spore colony. I think Monster is pretty safe from these ground attacks here. It has actually 3 sunken colonies. And it's still just a creep colony right now. Steamhammer not morphing it into a spore colony. This could be game 2 here. Okay, spore colony does start. This Mutalisk is maybe going to get a drone kill. No, not quite. Not quite. That drone just barely survives. Actually, wait. That drone survived with a lot of health. But now the Mutalisk is going to come over and target down the pack of Zerglings here. As there's nothing to defend that, those will have to return home. Spire, like, these buildings look like they could be pickable. Too, like, there's no spore over there defending. But I don't know, the spore's range might cover. But I feel like the Mutalisks should have an angle of attack. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, they can take these buildings out. Pretty uncontested if they do their control right. The spore is allowed to finish, though. Or sorry, the spire is allowed to finish. Steamhammer... Oh, it had the money and gas for Mutalisk. It was actually trying to expand with the natural, which could also be picked off by the Mutalisks here of Monster. Went after the evolution chamber. May have been a better choice to go after the spire. Now there's going to be some Scourge popping up here along with a Mutalisk, and the Scourge will try to chase these Mutalisks back home. Good control by Monster on the Mutalisks, though, taking out or picking off the Scourge where it can without losing as many mutas, but now a couple of mutas splinter off, and they will be unable to take out the Scourge that are chasing them, but they're doing a really good job of not letting the Scourge catch them. So they're just going to kind of circle here. And the Muta Cloud is going to find a Mutalisk of Steamhammer. We're going to have a couple more Mutasks pop out. The evolution chamber was replaced. But Monster hasn't really noticed this natural expansion here. And so Steamhammer is going to get away with it. We might see a little bit of a reverse situation here, although Monster is squeezing out drones where it can. I'm just thinking like last game how Steamhammer got trapped on a really low economy with just the one base for the entirety of the game. But Monster is sort of looking like it could be trapped on one base. Pardon me, sorry about that. Well, Steamhammer gets on the 2, but Steamhammer's workers is still just 9. Like, it took this natural, and it's just producing units out of it. Ooh, and Monster actually finds an angle to hit the drones and is diving, taking a little damage off of the spore in exchange for picking off some of those drones. And I think that's just huge, because now Steamhammer's down to just 4 workers. And it's dedicating 3 onto gas and 1 on minerals. I think Monster has pretty much won the game at this point. If Steam Hammer's not going to pull any of those drones off of gas onto minerals, then yeah, it's just never going to be able to produce anything that it wants to in order to try and handle this. So nicely played by Monster here, but Monster will need to close this game out. I like this, kind of coming back, cleaning up the Zerglings that were over in its main. Steam Hammer. Okay, so Steam Hammer actually did pull the guys off, or the drones off of gas here. So that's good to see. Steam Hammer could maybe still do something in this game, but yeah, now here come the Zerglings. There's no sunken colonies. Okay, now this is definitely over. Nicely handled by Monster. Monster looking to pick up another 3-0 to advance to the next stage of the tournament. Going up 2-0 after this game, and we'll see if Monster can close it out. And for the third time in a row, Icarus is picked as the battlefield for this game 3 to take place on. We have Monster in the red Zerg up at the top spawn, and Steam Hammer this time getting the right middle spawn as the teal Zerg. So they've just flipped positions from game 1. Steam Hammer has tried 2 different builds against Monster. Monster sticking with the same build, looking to close it out and get a win here in game 3 to end the series. Looks like we're getting similar builds out of the 2 AIs here. Bonding pool's thrown down at about the same time. Steam Hammer, though, is sticking with just mineral gathering for now. The extractor finishing up here pretty soon for Monster. So Monster looks like it's probably going to go for that same one hatch layer into mutas. But what is Steam Hammer going to do here? The spawning pool finishes up. Looks like it is going for a hatchery at the natural, so going for an expansion. Really hoping that Steam Hammer will be able to get a bigger economy in this game, especially since it does seem to be going for this eco styled build here, but does need to be careful that it does not get outnumbered too heavily by Zerglings, because it's going to have to rely on Zerglings to defend this natural and maybe even a drone pool if it needs to. Nice arc there from Monster Zerglings. Catches that one Zergling that was out there scouting. I'm going to go ahead and see that arc and return home, it looks like, or at least to regroup out here. Not really making a good concave of its own. And now it is being forced to retreat back. It's going to have to try, though, to keep this hatchery alive. Just looking at the Zergling count, Steam Hammer is outnumbering Monster just a little bit. Monster going ahead and falling back. But Monster's going to be able to utilize those Mutalisks soon, and I don't see anything. We got this natural hatchery, and we got a third hatch, so it looks like this is a 3-hatch, just normal wing all-in from Steam Hammer. There's no anti-air coming up yet. Gas just getting thrown down now. Like, I mean, if this was going to be speedlings or something, like, I could see some benefit. But yeah, these Mutalisks just are going to be uncontested, clean up all these Zerglings. There's just so many Zerglings, 40-some. Now that the mutas are out, and look at this nice double-layered arc here. I mean, the Mutalisks, yeah, they can just target down the drones. Looks like that's what they're going to do in the main here. Sunket's coming down, but like, Steam Hammer just has to commit to these Zerglings, or it's just going to be game over again. As the worker count plummets for Steam Hammer now. Like, this is all Steam Hammer's going to get. It's even sending Zerglings out to scout for other bases, but like, yeah, no more minerals for drones. No more drones. It should cancel that layer, because it could use that money for something, but like, yeah, this is just, I think, going to be over. Because this build is not gonna work against these Mutalisks here. Like, it needed some kind of anti-air, even if it threw down an evolution chamber. And okay, so it did cancel that layer. That's cool to see, and it's getting a couple of drones. but the Mutalisks are coming back into the main here. There is an Overlord there, so it picked up what those drones hatched. Now the Zerglings are going to come in and clean up. Very nicely done. Steamhammer actually taps out here, and Monster will go on to round 3 of the winner's bracket. 3-0 over Steamhammer. Finishing up our round 2 here. Final series, but not the least series. We've got, starting on Talcross, Banana Brain spawning as the brown Protoss on the left side of the map. And down at the bottom, we have Beta Star as the teal Protoss. So our last mirror matchup here, the Protoss versus Protoss. We can just take another quick look at the bracket here at the beginning. You see the Monster moves on, so the winner of this will go on to play Monster, and the loser will drop down into the loser's bracket, which we will take a look at once this series concludes, just to sort of see where everybody has moved to. Looks like Beta Star going to get a first scout here. Banana Brain throwing out its scout. And actually, just really quick, want to pull that back up just to take a look at the seed number. So this is the second closest seed matchup. We have 3 against 6. The closest one was actually Stardust and Purple. We went 4 and 5. And that actually, I think it was our first upset of the quote-unquote upset based on seed. So it was the Purple Wave and coming out on top over what was Stardust. My brain from up. What was the name of the AI? There's 4 Protoss bots here. But yeah, it looks like we've got Zealots coming out of Banana Brain. So 2-gate Zealot pressure coming with the 4 Zealots now. And Beta Star did get a Zealot, but is going to be running back. Has a Dragoon out. Let's see, getting a second gateway, it's going to need, a few more Dragoons. It's not producing any additional units, though. It's getting the second gateway, and it's not using the first gateway. I think it's saving up to try and get... Now it's starting to get another Dragoon. But it needed to start that Dragoon way sooner. And it needs to really... Like, it needs 2 Dragoons to be microing here, but it's just got the one, which is being chased all around the end, and now we've got more Zealots flooding in here. Cannon, I think, was trying to be started but had to be canceled there. Dragoon falls. The second Dragoon is out, but is going to fall. We've got Chaos in the main here. Probes are falling. And now Banana Brain going to transition out of this, starting to get their own core. Yeah, there's 3 gateways on the map right now for Beta Star, but Beta Star down to 9 workers, so lots of damage done. And really, when you go for that 2-gate Zealot pressure and attack here, what you're really looking to score is those probe kills, and they're racking up still even more, down to 5 workers for Beta Star. At this point, I feel like Banana Brain could go scouts and would probably be able to take a win here, because that's just so much economic damage. And now another pair of Zealots were coming down. They're gonna go ahead and retreat, but there's now a couple of Dragoons out on the field for Banana Brain, and Beta Star trying to get a cannon, but like Beta Star just needs probes, and it's not really gonna get the time to produce those probes. It's real good damage for Banana Brain. Banana Brain taking a second base behind this as well, growing that worker count. And it's gonna sit back, but I think that's fine. You know, no need to really risk throwing Dragoons away. Just build the advantage for right now, because there's so much damage done. You just build that advantage up to the point where there's just not going to be any coming back for your opponent. Now, seeing those 3 Dragoons, Banana Brain is going to give some chase. Pretty good targeting from the Dragoons there. Nice micro. Doesn't lose a single Dragoon for Banana Brain. But Beta Star does lose all of its Dragoons. Yeah, there's a little one-on-one battle up north. Not sure who's going to win that. Okay, Banana Brain even wins that one-on-one. While there were Dragoons down south clearing the base, and yeah, now it's just base clear time pretty much for Beta Star. Getting an observatory as well. Still building back home. Great to see, getting a 3rd base as well. But yeah, just that economic damage from that 2-gate Zealot, there just wasn't going to be any coming back for Beta Star in this game. And Beta Star, I feel like, could have handled it better, but it needed to get... It needed constant Dragoon production in order to defend against it. Never noticed how long Dragoons can take to kill things sometimes. Server joins the battlefield here. A couple last buildings fall, and Banana Brain takes the lead in the series, 1-0. Game 2 between these two will take place on Roadrunner. We've got Beta Star spawning as the purple Protoss rather, over on the left side of the map, and down in the bottom right, we have Banana Brain spawning with the teal Protoss pieces. So we have technically close spawn, but it would be considered close spawns for this map. Ooh, looks like Beta Star going for a fast expansion after losing that first game. And it's going to be a gateway expansion too. So it should be interesting to see with that forward gateway what it's going to go ahead and produce here. Looks like Banana Brain is going for a 2-gateway play. We also have a Forge coming out, so it's a gateway Forge expansion. It's going to go ahead and get a Zealot out of that first gateway. Banana Brain will scout this out. And we have a cannon on the way as well. I think with like a cannon or two and a Zealot or two should be pretty safe from this 2-Zealot aggression. Looks like Banana Brain, though, is going to continue to reduce the Zealots. Getting a third cannon, even though the probe in the base sees the Zealot count. There are 5 Zealots on the way. We had to start getting another Zealot, it looks like. It hasn't been able to get its natural nexus yet, though, so it got this forward positioning here, but unable to capitalize on it economically just yet. Worker count's pretty even. And one of the Zealots get caught on the bridge. It can't retreat. Oh man, that was bad, having the Zealots fight without the help of the cannons. But Banana Brain's going to sit back and not attack into those cannons. Probably the better move. But if there's enough Zealots here, those cannons will fall pretty quickly. There's no Zealots to support this now. And yeah, Banana Brain's going to dive in on these cannons. And I think Beta Star was maybe trying to save up for that Nexus. It did get a core and is getting its first Dragoon. But yeah, the Zealot's able to just run past now. And the worker count for Beta Star, again, just plummeting. Banana Brain just mercilessly targeting down those workers. A Dragoon fighting across the map here, trying to kite the Zealots. And is doing a decent job of that, but back home, the situation is pretty dire. There's one worker for Beta Star somewhere on the map. It might actually even be... Yeah, it's the scout that's still in Banana Brain's base. So Banana Brain taking another strong win here. It also has its own scout just circling around the base. The bait of Beta Star. And the Zealots just running past the cannons for now. Yeah, like you have to keep your Zealots alive with this, I think, in order to fight with the cannons and to prevent that sort of run by, so that we can sort of just block up the lanes for those Zealots to run past. And now Banana Brain could just try to get actually those Zealots out, it looks like. But Beta Star can't do anything with the base that it has. Banana Brain just needs to get what it wants in order to take out those cannons. I think these Zealots are coming home to chase that probe. Which is kind of funny because it would be able to catch that probe with the Dragoons, but the Dragoons are actually just gonna gather up here in front of the natural. The probe does get caught though by these Zealots. Now the Zealots will come up and join the Dragoons. So we'll see when does Banana Brain feel comfortable attacking this natural positioning. I suppose technically, I mean, like, Banana Brain doesn't know that there are no probes here. It knows there's nothing in the main. It still has that probe scouting there. It looks like it still wants to run past this as opposed to just engaging with it, but there's nothing up here to attack. The units get up there and see that. This Dragoon just is a masochist sitting there taking the shots from the cannon. Perhaps Banana Brain having a bit of a banana brains moment here, not still kind of stuck in that I want to run past mode when it should just really take this natural out and clean it up. But the unit deaths are keeping the game alive, because again there is that 5-minute timeout where if there's no units dying for a period of 5 minutes, then the game will just get called based on score, which I don't have a way of viewing the score, so that's a little harder as the caster to tell who will win in that who like actually gets the win in that situation. The Banana Brain just keeps trying to run zealots past. They're dying one at a time. Like I said, it's keeping the game alive, so looks like we've got a Reaver out that might be waiting for a shuttle and didn't realize that no shuttle was on the way, as we see an observer is being made, so it's just going to go ahead and try to crawl across the map. And it might take until this Reaver crawls across the map to actually clear that natural up. There is a shuttle on the way now, though, and that will most likely finish and pick this Reaver up before it arrives at the destination. Just going to keep an eye on that Reaver because I think that's going to be the game clearer here. Banana Brain very afraid of these cannons here. It's like the moment it gets hit, a unit gets hit by the cannon, they just want to run up into the main. Okay, the shuttle does pick up the Reaver. The Reaver comes down. And the Reaver is not firing. It has Scarabs that produced them. We've seen them. Another one produced. Not attacking with it, though. High Templar dancing. Actually, at this point, if it went to the 5-minute timeout, I feel like Beta Star would win. With all of the units that it's killing here. It's like a tower defense. This is how many times the tower defense failed. A little bit of potato going on, but we have a second shuttle here. We have a second Reaver. Maybe the second Reaver will be a little better. Okay, I was about to say the second Reaver just walking down for the cannons to fire on it. Now that the cannons are cleared, the rest of the army is good to engage. But now there's a Dragoon. This next is going to be the last build to fall, and that Dragoon's just going to block traffic until, yeah. So, alright. Banana Brain goes up 2-0. Looking to close out the final game. Will Banana Brain be able to do it? Let's find out. Game 3 in the series here, taking place on Andromeda. The map with the funky little mineral only. We've got Banana Brain spawning as the white Protoss up at the top right of the map, and Beta Star spawning as the red Protoss down at the bottom. Curious as to which strategy Beta Star will try to go with. We saw it do a fast expand on the last map. Looks like it's going to do an in-base item. Wondering if it was going to try and do a fast expand on this map, if it would treat this as the expansion to take or the gas only. Or not the gas only. It's not a gas only. It's got minerals, the natural as opposed to the mineral only. Got a couple of gateways coming down here. Looks like Banana Brain gonna stick with the 2 gate zealot pressure. That is one at games 1 and 2 here. Beta Star looks like it's going for Goon first. Don't have a zealot. Oh, okay, now there is a zealot, so not exactly Goon first, but getting the core. Looks like it's the same build from game 1. And that has me a bit worried. If Beta Star is not able to get the Dragoons out in time and get a high enough Dragoon count, could be in some serious trouble. First Dragoon is on the way as the first 4 zealots are coming across the map here. It's also close spawns, so travel distance is a little bit shorter than if it were cross spawns. Beta Star Zone Zealot coming out, sees the Zealots incoming, and goes ahead and falls back. Dragoon pops out, and again we see it's not getting another Dragoon. It's going ahead and trying to get a Forge. Unfortunately, the Zealot gets cut off, so it's not able to get up the ramp. And now it looks like the Dragoon was trying to do what it could to kite there, but gets just freezes up there on the minerals. Now the workers are starting to fall, trying to take an expansion while this pressure's happening. You just absolutely cannot do that. And it looks like Game 3 has gone even worse for Beta Star than Game 1 did, with these strategies clashing against each other. And it looks like Banana Brain will take the series 3-0 and be moving on to the next round in the winner's bracket. Yeah, just very unfortunate for Beta Star. It does not handle that 2-gate Zealot pressure very well, especially when those Zealots come as a pack of 4. But very, very nicely done by Banana Brain to just take a solid 3-0 series against Beta Star. Taking a look at the standings here real quick at the end. So we had Crazio went out over Dragon 3-0. Going to go up against Purple Wave, who beat Stardust 3-1. And that, I think, was our first upset, where meaning like a lower seeded AI beating a higher seeded AI. Then we saw Monster go 3-0 against Steamhammer to face Banana Brain, who went 3-0 against Beta Star. Next week on Saturday, we are actually going to be checking out the losers bracket. We have enough filled out there to start going through some of those games. So Saturday will be the losers bracket round 1, the winners of which will go on to face the losers from today's cast. So Beta Star, Steamhammer, Stardust, and Dragon. But Saturday will cover McRave Z and Ironbot, Xiao Yi and Mad Mix P, Microwave Halpan, and Tier Protoss and Willie T. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We appreciate the support. Links in the description below for the SSCAIT and for the Discord. I can go ahead and join if you're interested in chatting with any of the AI authors, or if you want to give your own hand at trying to author a bot. Depending on your your level of programming skill, it can be easy but also tricky to get into, but there's plenty of help on the Discord if you were to stumble anywhere in the process. Again, thank you all for tuning in. We will see you next time. Until then, take care.